Hello, and welcome to another edition of Coffee Talk with immigration attorney Brian D. Lerner. In this particular episode, I'd like to talk a little bit about the difference between the E-2 and the L-1. I have lots of who want to come in and start their own businesses or open a branch office from a successful business or possibly a ongoing business that they have in their home country. Don't know which one they should do, whether it's the L1 or the E2. Now, of course, this assumes that you come from a country that has a treaty with the U.S. to allow the E2. But what I'd like to do is just give some background and some examples and some analysis on which one might be better for you, because the reality is that there are advantages and disadvantages to both. And so if somebody just flat out says, give me which one's better, but they don't give me any of the facts, they don't give me any of the situation regarding their case, I can't really tell. So first, let's start with one factor that would kick out the E2 right away. If you if you come from a country that has no treaty with the U.S. To allow for an E2, and there's about 40 some, then the E2 isn't even an issue. So then the L1 for sure is the one that you would choose. Now the L1 does require, of course, that you have a company in your home country, essentially, and that you're running it for the last year. So there are no exclusionary countries for an L1, could be anywhere on the planet. So that's certainly one advantage to the L1 in that, there's not any particular country you can't come from. So, so essentially, if you come from a country that allows an E2, then the real, issue becomes which one should you do. So let's start with the most one of the most obvious. Bottom line, E2 requires more money to invest. I mean that's the bottom line. It doesn't mean that if you do an L1 you won't be investing a lot of money in a branch office. I mean, let's say you have, an Egyptian restaurant you want to open with 22 employees. Obviously you'll invest a significant amount in which to do that. But let's say that you're looking for the minimum amounts more or less that you can invest in each one. Well, for an E2, while theoretically you could get away with 50,000 investment, it's really closer to 100, and that's 100,000 US dollars. I once had a funny conversation with someone from Mexico and I said 100,000 and they thought it was pesos, so I always have to clarify dollars. And again, that's not a set in stone figure. I'm just giving you the average. But with an L1, the amount of the investment is far less important. In fact, $10,000, $20,000, depending on what the branch office will be, could very well be significant and could very well be sufficient to satisfy the requirements. So, given that, the investment funds might be a reason that you choose the L1 over the E2. I mean, bottom line is if you say that you have only, $25,000 to invest and you don't have another penny more, well, then that kicks the E2 out right away. You're not going to get an E2 with that amount of investment. So that's that. Then the other thing you want to look at is for an L1, you have to have the company running in the foreign country. Okay. I mean, with an E2, you could be sitting on the beach all day in your home country and then come and open a business in the US. And it doesn't make any difference at all that you don't have a company in your home country. So that is the certainly a nice advantage of the E2, in that you don't have to have a company running in your home country. Now, in addition to that, once you would get, for example, the L1, you must keep the company running in your home country. You cannot just get an L1 and then close up the company and run only the branch office in the U.S. With the E2, again, no need to do that. Okay, another item you want to look at is with the E2, we can prepare the petition and send it directly to the U.S. consulate. No USCIS, no intervention here in the United States, no need to get a prior approval here. You just we can just prepare a packet, send it right away to the U.S. consulate. Not to say that we can't send it in the U.S. if you happen to be here and we can do a change of status, but for the most part, we can send it directly to the consulate. That speeds things up. That makes things quicker. So the E2 can generally be received quicker than with the L1. Now with the L1, of course, like I said, we do need to send it in the US for prior approval. And then what happens is once it's approved, then they send the formal notification to the US consulate or embassy, depending where you happen to be. So that would be another reason, basically, to get the E2. Now, just so you know, um, just because you have a company running in the foreign country doesn't mean you cannot still get an E2. You can keep the company running, get an E2 in the U.S. instead of an L1, and then, again, you don't have to deal with the foreign company. Another item with the L1 is that you have to show all of the essential records and so forth that is doing business in the foreign country. And of course, that does take time to get all that. Many times, depending what country you're in, it all has to be translated, so that creates more work. So that's something to take into consideration. And then finally, the if you're looking for a green card, which many people are, a lot of times the L1, you can jump into the multinational manager after. So the L1 is like the type of visa that allows different companies, company in one country and branch office in the US to go forward. And then after some time, you jump forward and do the multinational manager visa and you get the green card. And that is not exactly an offshoot of the L1, but that's the progression that's normally taken. So as you can see, there are advantages and disadvantages to both. You just have to decide which one you want to do. If you like the video, click like and subscribe. Also, give me a call, give you a free consultation, let you know what I think might be your best shot, and so forth. Okay, more in the coming